So Bruce has quickly become sort of the authority on steampunk, and he's already taught me a really important lesson about steampunk, and that's that it's really heavy.
Yes.
Because I carry these things up here.
Right. Exactly.
Anyway, so we're really excited to have Bruce here. He's the expert, and I'm going to pass it off to him right now. Thanks.
Thanks, Sam. Thank you. Thank you for coming this morning. It looks like it's opposite day today. Is that what we're doing? Did everyone put on their tags? What they're feeling opposite?
Oh, that's right.
Can you just shout out a couple of opposites?
Disconnected.
What's that?
Disconnected.
Disconnected. So you're feeling connected. Wonderful. Anyone else?
Sitting still.
Sitting still. Okay, so get up and move around a little bit. So let me introduce myself. I'm Bruce Rosenbaum. I have been called many things. But recently I've been called a lot of steampunk names. I've been called Steampunk Master, I've been called Steampunk Wizard, Guru, Godfather, I like that one. But most recently CNN called me Steampunk Evangelist. And I kind of like that one because I'm very passionate about what I do. And so I was very proud of that accomplishment. And I had called my mother to tell her that I'm getting all these great titles, and of course it's my Jewish mother, and she said, "How about Steampunk Rabbi? When is that coming?" And so I'm working on that. Today I'd like to talk to you about. Steampunk has a lot of different meanings, and it's difficult to define. If you could just raise your hands if you're somewhat familiar with the term steampunk and what it is. Just raise your hand. Okay, so a good portion of you. I'm finding, I've been doing this now for about 5 years, and I've been finding that 5 years ago when I would say, hey, I'm into steampunk, 1 in 10 might kind of know what it is. Now it's closer to half. So steampunk is gaining in popularity. So today I want to talk to you, though, about what it's like to live steampunk in a way in terms of how to think. Steampunk is not just an aesthetic or a culture or a philosophy, really. I really see it as a creative design solution. And let me ask the question, too. How many people in here are actually designers of some sort or another? Okay, who else is here? Marketers? Just yell out any other kind of titles. Artist? Very nice. Anyone? Any other artists? Okay, great. So for me, in terms of what I do in steampunk art and design, it's thinking and creating in opposites. How do I move this thing forward?
I can make that happen.
Okay.
Don't mind me.
Okay, so this might be a little bit hard to see. I created the steampunk house in 2005 when I didn't even know what steampunk was. My wife and I had moved to our house in Sharon, Massachusetts, and it's a beautiful 1901 Victorian craftsman. And if you know your history, 1901 was the year that Queen Victoria died. And it really was the transition from the kind of crazy Victorian detail and decoration to more of the arts and crafts movement, the craftsman's style. And our house is kind of a hybrid. It's a transitional house. And we started to just restore it in a way that had had a functional aesthetic. We would bring in antiques, period objects, architectural salvage, and not just kind of have it sit in the house and just look pretty. I wanted to basically give it purpose, give it new life. And so kind of this aesthetic started to happen. Can we get to the next slide? Okay, here we go. So we started to infuse technology into these objects that I was bringing in the house. It wasn't until later people would walk through our house and come up to me and say, listen, you're steampunking. Steam what? That sounds weird and wonderful at the same time. And so then I started to notice it more in popular culture. Even most recently with Hugo, I don't know if people have seen that movie. That has a great steampunk aesthetic with all the clocks and gears. The Sherlock Holmes movies, people say have a steampunk aesthetic. Combination of the old and new, the past and the present. Will Smith's Wild Wild West, that was in the early 2000s, also had a lot of great gadgets and inventions that had a steampunk vibe. And even 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea had that type of vibe. In fact, the original Wild Wild West series, they said was kind of a steampunk series, but the term steampunk didn't, wasn't coined until the 80s. So Wild Wild West really was kind of pre-steampunk. So if I had to put a definition on what steampunk is, at least for me, it answers a what if. Steampunk started actually in science fiction literature. K.W. Jeter was writing cyberpunk, which is basically what technology would be like in the future. And then he started to think, well, let's put that on its head. Let's do the opposite. And what if during the Victorian period, the industrial age, there was modern technology? So steampunk kind of answers that question. What if during the Victorian age or industrial age, they had modern technology? What would it have been like? In inventions, innovations, gadgetry, fashion. So this, for me, this translates into taking modern technology, appliances, and infusing it into period objects. And so here's some examples here. And I've gone a little bit obsessive with this because it first started out small with some gadgets around the house, and then it started to invade like our kitchen, our family room, and then to my office. And so you see some examples here on the left. That's actually in my home office. It's a Victorian pump organ that's been turned into basically a command computer workstation where everything is accessible from the desktop. All the computers, the printer, the scanner are in the guts of the desk and can be accessed through the panel here. And it's all really using recycled or repurposed materials. On the right is our stove in our kitchen. That is an 1890s Jail and Watt, which was a very kind of fancy stove manufacturer. It's called the Defiance, which I love. And that was a wood-burning cooking stove that we converted into a modern electric stove with an electric Mealy cooktop. These doors open up for 2 ovens. The controls of the stove are in the center there. So you really can steampunk anything. And anything that comes into our house now, it's like, okay, so what are we going to do with it? How are we going to give it new life, new purpose? And so, so to the smallest objects, and I brought a couple with me. This is actually a steampunk USB thumb drive. It lights up actually when you put it in the drive. So it unscrews, and it's like, literally it's like a piece of jewelry. Steampunked my phone. So I took my iPhone and I put on a brass pressure gauge with some handles. So people complain, they ask me if it's like really heavy. And it is a little bit heavy, but it makes a great weapon too. So, that's always important. So in my workspace, in my home space, in my life, I really, this kind of takes all of my thinking in terms of how I design and what I want to have around me. Oh, yeah, so that actually, I actually have in this frame here is a picture of an ad for this stove from the 1800s. And in that picture is a copper water tank. And what they would do is they would actually run piping through the stove, heat the water, and then use the water in that tank for washing dishes, or maybe even for a bath. So what we did, we didn't need it for hot water, of course, but we wanted to have a filtered water system. So we put one in the basement, rated up a copper tube. You can see from the top there's a copper pipe coming out. And then we ran a PEX tube, a plastic tube, through the tank out to that spigot. And on the bottom there is actually our dog's water dish. So now our dog gets filtered water, and we can actually fill up pots and pans now with filtered water. So again, it's a matter of figuring out, having the beauty, the look, the craftsmanship of these antique materials, but giving them new purpose, new life, because no one would want to cook on a stove with firewood, anymore. So this is what our mission is. Our task is to modernize and give it new life. Here are some other areas. These pictures, they're hard to see here. That's my office. And it's a great space. It's the third floor, and it's got a lot of angles, to the ceilings. It kind of feels like you're on a sub. So I did this Jules Verne Nautilus theme inside the office. That's our living room. We repurposed some stained glass windows to use them on the wall. And our kids at the time thought we were crazy putting windows on walls, but that worked out. And this is another stove that is from the 1800s. That is a heating stove that we restored and created a whole kind of a hearth here. Those are repurposed side lights that went on a front door of a Victorian home that we turned horizontal instead of vertical and backlit. So it looks like there's light coming out from it. Okay, so steampunk design. What is steampunk design? I'm sure there are, again, you talk to artists that are into repurposing and this type of aesthetic, you're going to get a lot of answers. But for me, it's really about the function and the functional. And actually putting the fun back in functional, because it should be fun, fantastical, creative. And so the objects should do something. They could tell time. They could be a light. It could move. It could cook. It could clean. Just have the piece do something. Fusing opposites, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that too, in terms of what that actually means. For steampunk design, you're fusing opposites in that you're bringing together the past and the present in one object, the old and the new, the form and the function, the art and the science. It's almost like you want to use both sides of your brain, the left side and the right side, the creative and the analytical. And at its core is the repurposing aspect, and you're repurposing with purpose. You are going out, finding these objects that have stories, have meaning, and you're giving them a new life. And it's very liberating to be able to find these objects and feel like you can give them a new life and give them new purpose so they can basically go another 100 years. And part of the steampunk design is making do with what you have. It's the DIY, do-it-yourself, the maker movement, where you find objects around you in your house, in your backyard, the ordinary objects, and do something with them to make them extraordinary. The sum is better than the parts. So that's another part of working in steampunk design. Okay, are people familiar with Januszian thinking? Have you ever heard of that? Anyone? No. So Januszian thinking it's basically a problem-solving philosophy or exercise. I think it was coined by a psychiatrist in the 70s or 80s. And the idea is that the best inventions and innovations and solutions to problems comes with not linear thinking, but with opposites thinking. Bringing opposites together, synthesizing them to make something new. So it's, again, the combination and the synthesis as part of the thinking process to design. And holding the tension, a lot of what I do, people are really entranced in terms of looking at these objects because at the same time it's familiar and strange. So your brain is kind of trying to look at this and figure it out, like what period is this from, what does it do, and there's all this conflict basically in your mind that you're trying to resolve, and that art, that kind of interactivity is really powerful in terms of doing this type of art and design. And I think for innovation, just the going through this process makes you innovate, makes you think differently. So if you can think in this way, if you can think in opposites, it will help you not just with your design, but basically any type of problem-solving exercise. So let me give you some examples. Okay, pretty ordinary objects, right? So these are objects that we take for granted. I mean, the pencil. What does the pencil do? The pencil will write, and it will erase in the same object. I know that sounds simple, but that's very Januszian. A hammer, again, a simple object, a very powerful tool that we all use. It will hammer in nails and it will pry them out. Same object. The jackknife. The jackknife will open to cut, and then it will close in itself in its safety position, so it won't cut. So again, the opposites. And there are examples of this everywhere. And again, most of us don't think in this way, but the inventors and people who innovate and problem solve use this method, and maybe they don't call it Januszian, but they use this method in what they do. Okay, so let me just give you a sense of some Januszian thinking in action. I was approached by a patent attorney, actually in Boston at the Prudential Center. He works for the oldest patent law firm in the country. And he's got some posh, he's in a posh office space in the Prudential. And he came to me and he wanted to do a steampunk desk. And so, what is that? What can we do? What does that actually mean? So after talking with him a while, we came up with some ideas and basically some goals. So he's a patent attorney. He works with inventors. And he wanted to have kind of a living example in his office of a patented piece of equipment, an antique piece of equipment, to kind of have there, that could be the basis of a story of how patents work. So we had that. Second was that he told me that his father was a woodworker. And so maybe we could find something that would have meaning to his family. And then the third thing was that he gave me a beautiful conference table top, wood marquetry that he wanted to build. He wanted me to build into the design. And that was kind of a tall order to do, because now I'm taking something that that has meaning to him, and I you have to be careful with the piece. And we ended up having to cut into it, and so that took a little bit of convincing to do, but we were able to get that done. You can actually see what we had to do there in terms of cutting into the table. So we went out to look for a great object, and I found this 7-foot, 1,000-pound bandsaw in a wood shop in Scarborough, Maine. Now, this wood shop, it was founded in the 1800s, 1870s, 1880s, and it was like a time capsule. I mean, literally, I walked into this place, it was wood dust all over the place, and these machines were sitting in their place like they were 120, 130 years ago. And so I found this bandsaw along with other machinery and lathes, and so I grabbed this. I sent this picture to my client because before I pulled it out of there, I wanted to get approval that he would like this, and he loved it. And so we decided that this would become the base of the design. And this wasn't just going to be kind of a conference table. This was going to be his computer workstation. We were going to have everything function on this. His computer, his monitors, his phone, his iPhone, his iPad, all his technology was going to be tied into this piece. And again, that's kind of the functional part of steampunk, is to creatively problem solve, to infuse this technology into these objects that we're finding. Okay, so we did a few drawings of what we thought, and we came up with this design here on the left. And what I love to do with these objects, when I find something, I really want to be creative in terms of working with its original purpose. Well, these bandsaws, I mean, they're incredibly designed machines, and they cut big pieces of wood. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to take that tabletop and make it look like it was being cut by the bandsaw. So we came up with this design where the blade, it's an incredible piece. These are two 36-inch wheels, metal spokes, wood rims, and the blade would go around the wheels to cut the wood. So I did take the blade out for safety purposes, but the wood is there, and it appears like where the bandsaw is cutting that tabletop. So this is these are pictures of the finished product, and you can see on the left, he's a big Iron Man fan also. So we came up with a monitor design that would basically hook or be bracketed to one of the down pieces of the bandsaw, and you can see that's a back view, that's a side view. Great, not great shots of it, but the great part of this, when we were installing it, patent attorneys can be kind of a little bit of a conservative lot, and so when we were installing it, it's actually, I think, on a day before Christmas or Christmas Day, there were still a lot of attorneys in the office, and they were coming in like, what's Crazy John up to now in terms of what he's doing to his office. So they came in, and this is when I knew that I made impact. I had lawyers coming in, kind of almost speechless, like what is going on here? So I had one patent attorney come in. He takes a few minutes. He's walking around. He just kind of like a 360 around it, and he goes, "Holy shit!" I mean, that reaction is exciting. That you're getting such a powerful, emotive response to this type of design it's an incredible feeling, and this happens to me all the time. And I think partly because again, it's we're tying into the stories, the meaning. There's a lot of feeling that goes into this, and people are feeling that when they see this type of design. And I don't have pictures here, but he loved this piece so much. He said, "What else can we do?" So I had, at this woodworking shop in Maine, I had all these other pieces. So we turned a 13-foot lathe. We had to cut it down a little bit and put some glass on it, and actually some plasma tubes, like the lightning bolt tubes, as part of the design, as a credenza. I also used pulleys and shafts as a display rack. I took wood molds and made an Iron Man chair for him with a kind of a breastplate on the back leather. So it's this idea of being able to kind of go with the theme, go with what you're thinking, and again, it's this idea of combining opposites. And so also what I want to do, if we have a few minutes too. I just wanted to show this to you. This is a piece that I found in Brimfield, Massachusetts. Brimfield does a major antique show 3 times a year, and it takes up the whole city of Brimfield. Basically, it's thousands of vendors. So I am into medical and dental and optical equipment. It's got a great kind of steampunk vibe. This is called an optometer. It's probably like around 1899, and the optometrist would be here. I'm sure you've been to an optometrist. They still have optometers, but they sure don't look like this anymore. And so the optometrist is here. You're here. You're looking inside a cone that has a light. It's the optometrist can actually see into your eye, and he can measure the curvature of your cornea to see if you have an astigmatism or issues with your eye. So this is a great sculptural, artistic piece that is over 100 years old, and it is a great kind of start for a steampunk project. At the time, I didn't know what I wanted to use it for, but sometimes I see something and I say, I'm just going to have it because I'm going to do something with it at some point. So I just want you to keep that in mind, because I did do something with it, and actually with another one that's just like this, and it's sitting right over here. But before I show that to you, I want you to think in this way in terms of what this thing could be. Now you know what it was, and so just if you can kind of free your thoughts and think how you would transform that in kind of a steampunk design using opposites and incorporating technology. So in the steps to steampunking, one of the things that I kind of have to force myself to do is to be open to new ideas. You really have to be curious about a lot of different things. That's kind of the idea behind this. You have to be interested in history, you have to be interested in architecture, medicine, science, technology. In fact, are people familiar with the term STEM, S-T-E-M? Anyone? So STEM basically is science, technology, engineering, and math. Both the federal government and the state government are trying to put programs together, STEM programs together, to help students choose careers in the sciences and kind of make it fun and exciting so we can be competitive, for the next century. So I am lobbying to to add art to STEM, because I think that's what's going to make it exciting and fun for these students. And what happens when you put art after the engineering? What do you get? STEAM. Think about that. So it's important just to be open-minded and to think differently. One of the most fun aspects, I was just telling you about Brimfield, is the hunt. Sometimes I'm looking for something very specific and trying to find it, or I'm just kind of looking around to see what I might find, and that is so fun to have a purpose in mind and to go out and try to find this treasure. So kind of treasure hunting is an important part of what I do and enjoy. Look for possibilities. Again, it's not like you have to go out and spend $1 million or buy things that are halfway across the country. A lot of the objects that you can use in your design are right in your kitchen, or they're in your basement or attic or your grandparents' attic. And usually these items don't cost you anything. It's a matter of, again, being open-minded and thinking about, this is a chair. It was designed as a chair, but maybe it can be something else. Maybe I can improve on it, and using that object kind of as your inspiration for your next design. And I hate to get kind of preachy in terms of steampunk design, because there's a lot of people involved in the culture that are just so into it, kind of as a lifestyle. I'm kind of dressed steampunk light here. I don't usually dress like this. I'm a jeans and t-shirt type of guy, but I love this idea of being able to look at the world in a way where I feel that I can make positive change, and that I can improve, and that I can give meaning, and I can connect. And all of these things are in steampunk. It was, when I learned about steampunk, I felt like I was already doing it. And talked to a lot of steampunk artists and designers, and it's the same thing. They've been doing this for years. They've been interested in architectural salvage, gadgets, technology, and steampunk kind of brought everything together in a way to express feelings. And so when I'm giving these seminars, I really feel that people should use this as a way to be able to problem solve, in their own lives in terms of what they're doing. And just quickly, people ask me in terms of the keys to success in doing this type of design. And I learned from both my parents about resilience. Resilience will help you to, with your failures, to get back up and to try something new. Persistence, not accepting no. There's a lot of times where you get no's, and you should just take that as a maybe and pivot and do something differently. And then meaning, trying to find meaning as part of what you're doing, and success will come. So in your creative toolkit, 3 things. So have the ability to pivot. So when you're challenged or there's a failure, that you don't accept that, and that you just change your direction a little bit, maybe to the right or left, up or down, to try something new. In steampunk design, it's about collaboration. What we do is can be complicated. We're using wood, we're using metals, we're using electronics, and kind of integrating all that can be challenging. So it's really about collaboration, working with others to build something great. And then play. I really enjoy what I do. This is so fun. And you have to do what you're passionate about. It's, life is too short, and you have to really enjoy what you're doing. And that will show in your work, and that's part of the reason why I do what I do, is because I really enjoy this type of design. So that kind of ends things. I want to spend a little bit of time with questions and answers. I'll show you my piece over here. We can talk a little bit about this, although we're having a little bit of technical difficulties with the monitor here, but I can show you kind of the design of what we do with that piece. So is there any questions? Answers? So, okay, go ahead.
What was your background and how did it lead you to Steampunk?
Okay, great question. Well, I'm actually a marketer. I've worked for large and small marketing companies. I actually have my own direct marketing company. And I have an MBA at Duke. I never considered myself an artist. And when I started to restore our house in Sharon, all of a sudden this kind of light bulb, steampunk light bulb went off, where I really enjoyed the act of restoration. And then as we started to get more into being able to create function, that kind of part of my brain kicked on, and all of a sudden I started to create. And this was at age 40. So that's the other thing too. I mean, you get started, and I still love marketing. I'm a marketer at heart, but it's about not stopping, not kind of staying where you are, feeling comfortable where you are, and doing what you enjoy. And I just continue to do that. And when I started Modvic, it was about restoration and modernization of homes, but I actually did a restoration in 2007, which was the worst year to ever to do a restore and sell. And we kind of lost our shirts on that. And again, it was the ability to kind of get beyond that, learn from my mistakes, and then pivot. And that's how I got into steampunk art and design. And this is, for me, it's a really kind of great place to be because it's very niche right now. I don't think there's anyone else that has a steampunk art and design company. So I think I'm the only one in this category. Anyone else? Okay, so let me yes, we'll do the unveiling. So I just wanted to show you what this turned into. So I love technology. I love computers, and most of our computers are pretty bland, beige boxes, especially our desktops. So I wanted to turn this into a computer workstation, and voila! So the idea behind this is I wanted to build in kind of the opposites again. It's reverse technology. This is the ophthalmometer. I actually turned it around. You can see how this is pointing outward for the optometrist, and then you would put your head here. I just reversed this. I just took this and turned it around, so now this scope was where you put your face. And so when I was trying to find something, an interesting face to put here, and I was first thinking about a skull, or like a creepy mannequin head, but that was like too creepy. This actually was, this has a little bit of a creep factor, but it's more robotic. This is a dental mannequin head from the 1930s. Dental students would actually use this to practice on different sets of teeth. And so I thought he was perfect for there, and he's wearing prescription testing glasses. And we were able to mount the monitor here. And this is actually a 100-year-old antique typewriter that we outfitted with an Arduino programmable chip that has wires that go out to the keys. We can actually use this as a modern keyboard, just making contact. So again, turning something old into something new. And then this keyboard is actually a modern keyboard that's been outfitted with typewriter keys and brass parts to make it look like it's from the Victorian period. So you can go either way with the technology. And it's being powered by a Mac Mini. The Mac Minis are great for us because they're very small. Miniaturization is great because we can kind of hide it in different spots. So it's underneath here. And so now you have a piece of functional art, a computer workstation that could inspire you, every day going to work. Any thoughts of what else this could be? Projector, like a media projector. That's a great idea. And the media projectors they're getting very small right now. So this is kind of a normal size one up here, but they're selling small ones that you can insert. Actually, right now I'm working on a project of a 1930s projector that would be in a projection room in a movie theater, and it's the first projector that was able to synchronize sound with the film, and so I'm turning that into a media projector. So it's a humongous thing. It stands like this tall, and it weighs a ton. So wherever it goes, it's probably become a permanent permanent fixture. But it's a great idea. Anything else? A speaker. A great idea. Actually, maybe you get two of them, so you can kind of have two speakers. For my desk that you saw, my Victorian pump organ desk, I actually used two Edison Signet horns, that go in the Edison photographs, and I put a speaker inside the horn part. So that was an interesting repurpose of those. Anything else?
Could be a surveillance camera.
A surveillance camera. Aren't surveillance cameras supposed to be kind of innocuous, though?
I like
that would draw some attention, I think. Yeah. Okay, so I think, are we finished? Okay, so thank you so much for coming. I have some business cards up here. I'll be here for the next few minutes too if you have any questions. And certainly go to my website. You can see my house actually on my website. Take a virtual tour, 360 tour, like on the real estate sites, so you can see what we did there. Great, thanks for coming out.